Hello, friends. Welcome to an episode of the Pure Living Family podcast. I am super excited about this podcast for a number of reasons. A young man, young blood, I shall say. He's a bit younger than me, but someone that we kind of ran into each other here and there in the soccer world. You guys all know how passionate I am about soccer. I've just kind of watched him from a distance and seeing the cool things that he's doing. And I want to post a picture of him because he's so humble, but yet he's the most athletic person I've ever seen in my life. Like he's probably, I don't know, 5'10", 5'8". He's on the shorter side, but the picture, I actually went on a search for this through BYU Photo. You're out jumping a guy that's like 6'2" and winning a header. And I had actually broadcasted for BYU Provo in 2014. Colby played on the team at the time. And that's the one thing that stood out to me is he kept winning all the headers, and he'd be winning the ball over 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" guys. And I'm like, what in the world? How is this guy winning the headers every single time? But then also playing with him and against him and just friendlies and stuff, your side to side movement, I told you this lateral movement, it's like, how in the world does your body work that way? But you guys might all know him from Thread Wallets. They're 2021, I think they did 18 million in revenue. Awesome brand. But I wanted Colby to come in and talk about Carry On, which is a nonprofit charity that is really focused on mental health. So Colby, welcome to the interview. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, I feel embarrassed now, but thank you.
I knew you would, because I thought about texting you and saying, hey, will you provide a picture for me of you leaping over everyone? And I knew what your response was like, no. So I went and found it myself.
Thanks, man. That was good. Yeah, I'm excited to be on this podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so our brand, the Pure Living Family, our theme is we give you permission to take better care of yourself so you can take better care of those who you care for. And I thought you embody that better than most people. Obviously running a multi-million-dollar company and now going off and starting a charity. You in Inc.com and also mensjournal.com, they had both profiled you and what you're doing for your own personal mental health. And I wanted to just bring this into the conversation because in Inc.com, for example, they talked about in your corporate offices for Thread, you wanted to go and create a half pipe within your home site. And it talked about in the article that you and your wife even had some fights about that. So can you just talk about how you arrived at putting a half pipe, spending tons of money, because I'm sure it wasn't cheap? Tell us that story.
Yeah, well, first off, I didn't know if I could qualify the half pipe as a mental health expense early on. I didn't realize how much it was actually helping me until my mom, she's been an alcoholic my whole life, and she's had a number of different just crazy binge cycles. She deals with a number of different mental health issues. So do my sisters, everything from eating disorders to addictions and depression, anxiety, OCD. There's just a number of things that have ran in my family. And I didn't realize this actually until relatively recently, that kind of when I started dealing with my own anxieties, that like I started talking with my dad and my mom, and they started opening up even further. But during 2020, my mom lost her job and she ended up picking up the bottle and relapsing. And it was one of the gnarliest binge cycles I'd ever seen. And I'd gone through a number of those with her, just watching her. My parents got divorced when I was 14. So kind of watching her struggle through some of these things. But in 2020, it just all came down, and she ended up finding herself exhausting all of the resources she had from our family, and was found on the streets of Salt Lake City, and with nothing for her, nothing to her name. She had, it was the saddest sight. I remember just picking her up, and she had just thrown up everywhere, all over herself. She had peed her pants, and I had nowhere to take her. I was just heartbroken. I ended up having to drop her off. This is not the first time, but drop her off in Salt Lake at a motel, and just paid for one night and prayed that things would go well. And long story short, it got worse before it got better. But during this time, I realized my own anxieties were just out the roof. I couldn't control them. I had been dealing with this for over a decade, and just kind of like uh, it was manageable. I had a few panic attacks through the past 12 years, but during this time with my mom, I went through three panic attacks in a matter of a few weeks, and it started to come down, and I realized that I don't have control of this anymore, and I'd wake up with just a pit in my stomach. I finally started seeing a therapist and got on some medication, which has helped dramatically. But um, I realized too that my outlet during this time was I was skateboarding a ton, and we have this mini ramp in our office, and I would stay up till 2 in the morning, 3 or 4 times a week, just at night with friends and skating, chatting. Very healthy environment. It's not like we were using any sort of substances, like self medication or anything. It was just literally like community and sport, and that's like what I resorted to, and that's how I started to find some stability as much as I could. And so, anyways, back to your question. This was probably a few years ago, and my wife and I wanted to get a mini ramp in the office, and she pushed against it. And what bugged me the most was I didn't have a good case against it. I just thought it was cool, and I love skateboarding, and that was all I could say. And I thought that people, it would send a good vibe to the people in the office. And she just said, well, not everyone would use it, it's a liability and it's expensive, and like all these very, very valid concerns. And I had really no ammo, and so it kind of blew up in my face, and I really couldn't figure it out. She ended up letting me build the ramp for whatever reason, and this, like, fast forward throughout the years, and now looking back, I can see that the reason I wanted it so bad was more than just the cool factor. And it was, for me, it was my release. This is how I had recreational therapy. And so now I can use this half pipe as kind of a symbol to the rest of our workforce that you have to take care of yourself. And that's, I try to send the message through getting up every day, throughout the workday, and just going and skating for 10-15 minutes, and just kind of sending that message, like, if you need to go do yoga, if you want to go walk around the building or go mountain bike, whatever it is, like, that's first and foremost, take care of yourself. And if you do so, first off, your employees are going to be much happier. They're going to be more loyal. They're going to be healthier, so that they're going to perform better, etc. The list goes on and on and on. But that was a very long-winded answer to your question, Sean. But that's where we've landed, and man, I can't be more grateful for not just soccer and skateboarding, but any sort of like outdoor recreation for me, surfing, snowboarding. That's really where I find peace.